I made a video yesterday about how our family's plans are changing for 2025 and all of the things that I am now no longer doing, ways I'm no longer spending money, trips I'm no longer taking. I've decided to put on hold some big plans, which will have economic impacts for my state. I will no longer be contributing to the economy in the same way I had originally planned, due to all of the economic uncertainty, because we are living under the Trump regime. And yes, I will be calling it a regime, not an administration. So that video really popped off on YouTube, and I got a ton of feedback of folks who were saying they were doing all sorts of things differently, from deciding not to expand their family, not to try for another kid. Folks were saying that they were looking to move out of the country. Folks were trying to move to blue states. Lots of folks said, I'm not going to buy a car. I'm not going to do home improvement projects. I'm not going to go on vacation. I'm going to save money. My goal for 2025 is to not spend anything. Both because folks are afraid. It will shrink the economy. We will see the economy shrink under the Trump regime because of economic uncertainty, because of job uncertainty, because folks are scared because Trump is destroying the economy along with so much of the social infrastructure of America. He's threatening armed conflict with our allies. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Those are not circumstances that are conducive to spending money. When the economy is flourishing, when the country feels safe, when folks feel prosperous, we see folks pouring money into the economy. Folks are willing to take a risk on investing in a home improvement, on buying a new car. They have money that they feel can be spent on luxury items, on entertainment, on little frivolous things that make life enjoyable. And nobody wants to spend that kind of money right now. And I hope folks are contacting their senators and their congressperson, and letting them know that there will be significant economic impacts in their states, that they and their neighbors, folks in their family, have decided not to spend money in 2025 because of the things that Trump is doing. Now, I've always, on my YouTube channel, way before the first Trump regime, I have always been really anti-consumerist. I've been really big on not spending money, on doing that because of my environmental beliefs, my permaculture beliefs about how I want to live a low impact lifestyle, but also because we were really poor for a lot of years. And I was always determined to live within our budget as much as possible. I have an old video on my YouTube about Your Money or Your Life, how it was a book that I read when I was 18, and it really shaped my outlook on finances. And so I've always been somebody who scrimped and saved. My mother was very much like that. My mother was extremely frugal, taught me the value of a dollar, taught me that we mend and make do. We take care of our possessions so that they last longer. We do not spend frivolously. We don't let ourselves be influenced by the psychology of advertising, that we don't need the most up-to-date, the most fashionable thing. That if our garments and our home decor are still functional, if they can be repaired or mended, or if we're okay with wearing something that has a small stain on it, keeping that pot lid that has a little dent in it instead of buying a new cookware, that we can not only save so much money, but we can reduce our waste. That making conscious choices to be anti-consumerist has all kinds of beneficial ramifications for us, for the planet, for our society. And I've seen so many folks going into 2025 saying that, like, de-influencing is back. We want to be de-influenced, to not buy things that we see on TikTok or ads that we see on the TV or on other social media platforms. That we don't need the latest gadget or the latest outfit, and that we want to focus much more like folks were in 2020 and when we had supply chain issues, focusing on mending and making do. That's all kind of making a resurgence now, and I think it will continue to build, and I think that's a good thing. So in the last week, a couple of things I've done: sewing buttons back on, mending hems that had torn out. So we're doing all sorts of things as a family that are not really that different with how we've lived our lives all the way until now. But I think that they are more trendy or more in keeping with what other folks are doing in 2025. And I hope going forward. Our sofa in our living room is completely destroyed. It is up on blocks because the leg is broken. I'm not buying a new sofa right now. And when I do buy a replacement, I will look for a used one. It doesn't need to be beautiful. I don't care if somebody comes over and they're like, whoa, your sofa has a big, it's worn out in multiple places and the leg is broken. Okay. I don't need my house to look like a magazine. My house is lived in. 6 people live here. I spent last week doing a number of repairs, sewing buttons back on, fixing hems that had torn out on clothing, mending small holes. I darned some elbows in sweaters. I often make the choice, I have some YouTube videos on this, I often make the choice to do visible mending so that you can see how things are repaired and kept in rotation. I love seeing that, like, conscious display that is visible to everybody of like, I chose not to buy a replacement for this. I chose to repair it and keep wearing it. So in that spirit, I wanted to share something that I am doing today. So we lived in Germany when I was little. My dad was stationed in Frankfurt, and my parents never wanted to leave. They loved Germany, and my great-grandparents are from Germany. So my mom kept a lot of things. My house looks like Bavaria exploded because I have so much of her stuff. But one of the things she kept was these pickle jars, and they're really cute, right? This is a cute shape. Here's the lid. I'll hold it up if you want to pause and read it. So she kept these pickle jars, and she kept pasta in them. And when she passed away, I inherited all of her stuff. And I love these jars, and I have fond memories of them as a little kid. I used to open it up and like pour out the bow ties or the macaroni, and my mom would let me like glue and make a little collage at the kitchen table with pasta. So I wanted to keep these jars. Oops, sorry, my ring's loud. Okay. This is my great grandmother, Jenny Beals ring. She was married to a German butcher. Anyway, so I have these jars, and I keep nuts and legumes in them. The other day, I broke this one. I don't know if you can see it. I chipped the rim right here. And it was very, very, very sharp. And I thought, oh, crap. Well, I'm going to have to get rid of this. I thought, why do I need to recycle this? I can just fix it, right? I've done quite a bit of tiling, and if you use a tile saw, you'll know that you'll have a little bit of a sharp, rough edge where the glaze is, and you just come back with some 80 grit sandpaper and you smooth out that rough glaze where you made the cut. And I thought, I have 80 grit sandpaper in the basement from working on my basement bathroom. Why don't I just take this really sharp edge? There's no crack. Nothing's cracked here. It's just a little chip. I'm not storing anything liquid in here. Nothing has to be canned. I'm keeping dry goods in my pantry. Why don't I just take a little piece of 80 grit sandpaper and just rough it out, right? So that's what I did. I just, a little bit, and I got the sharp edges rubbed off. Perfectly good. It's going to get filled up with nuts and go back in the pantry after I wash it out because there's no ground glass in it. But so I just want to share that with you. Even when there are things that seem like we might just chuck them, I'm always trying to find the ways that I can uphold the permaculture principle of produce no waste. Is there something here that would let me salvage this item? Is there something here that would let me keep this in rotation? Is there a small action I could take, a little repair I could do, so that even if something is no longer perfect looking, even if the repair is obvious on it, even if it looks worn and well loved, even if it is a pickle jar from 1979, could it still be used? Could I keep this in rotation so that new resources do not have to be used manufacturing a replacement? I know there are so many terrible things in 2025. I know that America is not a great place to be right now, and I don't want to have rose-colored glasses, and I don't want to be glib in any way. But if we look at World War II, for example, or I think about when my grandpa would talk about the Great Depression, how much ingenuity comes out of hardship, how much resourcefulness we all realize that we have, that we are people who can be not only tenacious, but also adaptive, right? That there is so much ingenuity that we never have to express. There are so many puzzles we never have to solve until we face hardship. So in the face of all of this adversity, I hope that we can focus on those little good things that we can do, the ways that we can prove that we are capable people, resourceful people, folks who not only will do what is best for us in our community, but folks who are actively pushing back against authoritarianism and pushing back against an oligarchy, a plutocracy. Yeah, so if there are ways that you are able to make conscious choices to be not only more sustainable, to stick it to the man, but just to prove to yourself and your household, your community, that you are a resourceful individual, I would love to hear about it. It can be little teeny tiny things like reusing a jar, saving it from the recycle. It could be learning how to do some big repair yourself. I would love to hear about it, whatever it is. Let me know in the comments.